If someone had told me 2 years ago, and Nancy, somebody else will carry your third child, I'll tell them you're joking. What do you mean? It's not my pride. Nigerian women have pride. We have pride. We want to be the ones to breastfeed. We want to be the ones to carry. Like, what do you mean another person carrying your child? What does that mean? Come on. I almost cried in my second pregnancy, but I was willing to try again. That's the stubbornness. That's the pride that will lead to our downfall. Yes, I said it. I said I almost cried in my second pregnancy. Some people were asking me, so what happened to my son's twin? I had to go through therapy to stop talking about that. Every time I would talk about my second pregnancy, I would break down in tears. I would cry so badly that my husband would have to tell me, see, you need to stop talking. So I've agreed that, okay, the intricate details of what happened in that pregnancy, I'm just going to keep it in the past. But you can imagine me coming out of that. I was determined to do it right the third time. I was determined to take that risk again. And if I had not gone through several miscarriages, I would have taken the risk again. You guys, that pride is the reason I'm doing this video. Because parenthood has several pathways. You would think that education is going to expose us to knowing that, okay, so this is what technology has afforded us and this is what we can now do. But even educated people like us, that pride is still a stumbling block. When my doctor said, Nancy, you need to start thinking about a surrogate. If you are really serious about this third child, your miscarriages are getting too frequent, think about a surrogate and let me know. He gave me a couple of contacts, a couple of agencies, and I started doing my research. Told my husband, because I went to the hospital alone that day. I told my husband, how far, what do you think about another person carrying the child? He just said, hey, so we can just rest. We already have these embryos. We have all these embryos. Listen, the first clinic I used, I did not freeze my embryos. I gave up because of the extremely bad experience I had. Second clinic, I didn't freeze them because I was somehow led to believe that it was the quality of my embryos that led to my miscarriage. When you have PCOS, you know that egg collection is 50-50. When you do an IVF cycle, the quality of your eggs is just so dependent on how experienced your doctor is to put you on the protocol that will give you the best eggs. I had plenty at a time. In one stimulation, I can have at least 40-something eggs. But the quality of the embryos, after they would do the ICSI is when you take the husband's sperm and then you inject it into the eggs. The next day, they'll be telling me like, oh, you have only 10 fertilized. They'll be like, after 40-something eggs. So that's why having a very experienced physician handle your cycle is very important. When he told me about surrogacy, it felt like a release. It felt like for the first time in my life, I felt like, so there is help. There is hope. I mean, my babies are there. I just need someone willing. I don't know what is itching me here. I just need someone to carry them for us. And so when that option came, I swear to God, I was the happiest human being in the world. I started doing my research. I started reading and reading and reading about surrogacy to the point that my feed on Instagram, my feed on TikTok had surrogacy back to back to back to back. I started reading about surrogacy in other countries. I started exploring options just to see, what is happening in other countries, how legal is this? The legalities are actually very straightforward if you want to do your research. So that's why it pains me sometimes when I see some comments online, comments like, oh, that's not your child. Even educated people, yes, even educated people are saying that. There's so many pathways to parenthood. I mean, at some point I was open to adoption, because I'm really serious about my big family. You guys don't know me. You don't know that if I want to achieve something, I will do everything in my power to achieve it. Our hospital referred two agencies to us, and we looked them up. We actually visited a couple, and it was just not clear enough to me, you know. And then one day I was scrolling on Instagram, I found this page, Meet Surrogate Mothers. And my jaw was on the floor because she was showing real life births from her surrogates. And my mind was blown. It was then I put like a process to surrogacy. I quickly slid into her DM and I booked a consultation. You guys, I'll tell you, the way she received me was like she knew. It's like she already knew what was going on in my life. I mean, I used to share then a lot about, you know, IVF cycles, and I used to share on my stories. The people that on my stories, the people, my OGs, you know, now we would have miscarriages. I'll say, hey, now wow, no picking this month, oh. Like she knew. And she was so not judgmental in any way. She embraced us. She was like, welcome. Even though they offered the entire process, like end to end, she acknowledged the fact that we already had our embryos. And she was like, I'm willing to work with you, with your clinic, with your embryos. I'm willing to work with you anywhere your embryos are. I can get them here. And like, even if your embryos are abroad, we will go and pick your embryos and bring them here and find you the perfect surrogate to carry your babies. That to me was music to my ears. I mean, at that point, I felt so relieved. It felt like we were one step closer to achieving our goals. And so we had a bunch of paperwork to go through, because doing surrogacy in Nigeria, I would tell you, is the most straightforward thing you would ever think of. The legalities are very, like, you will sign and sign and sign and sign. However, you know that you are in safe hands, because Nigeria is, will I say, one of the easiest places to do this, okay? The people who are helping you are already mothers. Before you can become a surrogate mother in this agency, you have to have had your own children. You have to have given birth to live children. You have to be willing to help a family. You have to have that heart to help. You have to be willing to take care of yourself. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes to be able to birth a healthy child into this world. And so that was my main concern, because I know how I take care of myself when I'm pregnant. And I was like, will anybody be taking care of themselves, you know, when they're carrying my child? I mean, I don't want anybody to have malaria or no infection. Or but this agency will put your mind at rest. I honestly felt like, God, you have finally answered my prayers. That's how I felt when I met this woman. Mrs. Olaronke is an angel. And I told her that if this works, and I said, even if it doesn't work, but if this works, I'm going to come out and I'm going to do a video. She's like, oh my gosh, nobody has ever publicized their own surrogacy. I said, there is no point. A lot of people lie. They wear kaftan and they act like, oh, they're pregnant. And after 9 months, they say, oh my God, I just had a baby. What's the point? You know that a fellow woman like you helped you to have that child. And you want to hide it. There's no need to hide it. The world has to know that there are angels around us. There are angels amongst us. I believe this is something that we should celebrate. The way we celebrate people that help people, that donate eggs, that donate sperm. People are donating their womb to help families. Healthy women that have birthed live children into this world are helping families. And I am a recipient of that help. We are recipients. My family is a recipient of that help. And I don't take it for granted. That's why it was so easy for me to come online to say, yeah, this is where I did it. This is how it happened. Because honestly, the process was seamless. I went there with my children. I told my children, this is what we are going to do. I told my children, we are going to get a baby. And they told me, where? I said, we have babies in the lab. And the babies in the lab, we're going to put them into another angel who is going to carry your baby brother or sister. And they were like, wow. They followed us to the clinic. And The whole process was so magical for my family. Honestly, it was extremely magical. Our session has turned to a breastfeeding session, but she's with me all the time because I'm really serious. I don't give up on my dreams, okay? I told them I was going to breastfeed. In the next part, I'm going to answer all the questions that you may have. And, you know, I've seen a lot of your emails. You have questions for days. Nancy, how are you able to breastfeed? What's going on? How did you do this? How did you do it? I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you why you need to believe that there shall be no barren in the land. I'm going to try and change your perception about this. And there's no need to give up. Not everybody will be privileged. Not everybody will have the money to go this far, you know. However, you cannot afford to keep your mouth shut. You cannot afford to keep it to yourself or start going from place to place when you know that there is no solution there. You need to open up your mouth to the professionals that are around you. You need to tell people your predicament. I have a friend who spoke about it. Her friends rallied round. They organized the fundraising and she did her IVF. And that IVF, today, she and her husband have twins. From IVF that she did from a fundraising that her friends organized because she didn't keep it to herself. There's no need dying in silence. Nobody's better than you because they have children. You have enough love to give your children. That's what parenting is about. So many people are giving birth to their children and throwing them on the streets. They're not taking care of them. But you, God knows why. God knows why you have this, why you are experiencing this situation. And I want to let you know that there is hope. There is hope. In the third video, I'm going to answer all the questions, including how I'm able to breastfeed.